What is going on, guys? Chip here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG online video, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Drampa-Garbodor deck that Tord Reklev recently used to win the North American International Championship, the largest Pokemon tournament of all time. And this is the deck list that he used. It is posted on Pokemon.com. I will have a link to the deck list in the description down below, so definitely be sure to check that out so you can copy it for yourself, so you can try this deck out. And I think this deck is very, very strong. Huge congratulations to Tord on winning the largest Pokemon tournament to date. And yeah, Tord right now is probably one of the best players in the game. He did also top 4 London Internationals earlier on this year. Easily one of the best players in Europe. Most definitely one of the best players in the world right now. So huge congrats to him. Now let's go ahead and hop in and take a look at Drampa-Garbodor, the deck that was on a lot of people's radar, but I think a lot more people were expecting the Espeon Garbodor deck. But I think Drampa-Garbodor was still a very solid deck for the tournament, and obviously so, since it did end up netting toward a first place finish. So let's go ahead and look at Garbodor here, the 120 HP Stage 1 Psychic Pokemon with the attack Trashalanche. This attack does 20 damage for each item card in your opponent's discard pile, so lots of decks currently use item cards very heavily to set up their board position, to get their strategies going, things like that. So Trashalanche can definitely use that against your opponent. We also have another attack here, Acid Spray, 70 damage, flip a coin if heads, discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. We probably won't end up using this attack, but it is an option that we do have from time to time. And pretty standard, straightforward Pokemon line here. We've got 4 Trubbish as well with the Acid Spray attack. This one is definitely better than the Stomp Off Trubbish, I believe. I think this is the one that most people will choose to play. And we also have 1 copy of the Garbotoxin Garbodor. That means if we have a Pokemon Tool card attached, that no Pokemon in play can use their abilities, which is very nice against some of these very ability-reliant decks, such as Vikavolt, Tapu Bulu. There's so many decks that rely on things like Shaymin-EX still, and Tapu Lele against Greninja. It's very good against Vileplume and Decidueye decks. It can be good as well. So Garbotoxin Garbodor, definitely a good inclusion here. We also have 3 Drampa-GX, kind of the main attacker I like to think of the deck. Of course, the deck is a Garbodor deck, but I think more often than not you're going to end up attacking with this Drampa early on. Righteous Edge, 20 damage, discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. And Berserk, 80 damage, plus if your benched Pokemon have any damage counters on them, this attack does 70 more damage. And we do have ways to put damage on our own benched Pokemon, which we will talk about in just a minute. And then also Big Wheel GX. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 10 cards. Very good attack to use early on in the game. Can really just get your full hand, handful of like good useful cards, and force your opponent to either end you, or if they don't end you, you're just going to have a ton of resources to work with on the following turn. We also saw Tord play 4 Tapu Lele-GX, a very good attacker on its own, but also one of the best support Pokemon in the game currently. And we haven't really seen anyone be playing 4 copies of this card in their decks. I'm interested to see if we will, moving forward, see more players shift towards playing multiple, more than the 2 or 3 standard copies of Lele in their deck, since we did see Tord have that much success with it. But here we go, Wonder Tag, letting us search out a supporter card from our deck, putting it into our hand, and Energy Drive, 20 damage times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. So very good attacker in its own. Let's go ahead and expand the list, take a look at what else we have to work with here. 2 copies of Field Blower are going to be nice to remove things like Float Stone and Choice Band from our opponent's side of the field. Also letting us get rid of Fighting Fury Belt. That is a card that has started to see a little bit more play, so having 2 copies is definitely very nice. And it also adds more items to our opponent's discard pile to power up our Trashalanche attack. 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher, allowing us to get back any of our Pokemon if they get knocked out. This is really great in these evolution decks, so that if we have to discard a Garbodor early, we can, later on in the game, just get it right back immediately. 1 copy of Super Rod as well, just letting us shuffle back in some Pokemon from our discard pile into our deck, as well as energy cards if we need them at that time. 4 copies of Ultra Ball, going to let us search out any of our Pokemon in our deck to get things set up. 4 copies of VS Seeker, of course, letting us reuse any of the supporter cards from our discard pile. 1 copy of Brigette, going to be our ideal supporter on turn 1, just letting us get our bench totally set up, full of Trubbishes, full of Drampas, just getting us totally set up with 4 Tapu Lele and 4 Ultra Ball. It is extremely easy to pull off a turn 1 Brigette in this deck. It's pretty crazy how often you get it. We also have 2 copies of Lysandre here, letting us bring up whatever our opponent has on the bench. 4 copies of N, accompanied by 4 copies of Professor Sycamore, just the the two best draw supporters in the game right now, so makes sense to just max out on consistency and max out on having 4 copies of each of these cards. Also, 1 copy of Teammates. This is a great card in the Garbodor mirror matches, just once something gets knocked out. We get to go Teammates and find the pieces we need to continue to stream knockouts back to back to back. We also have 4 copies of Choice Band here, letting us increase the damage we do to Pokemon GX, as well as 4 copies of Float Stone, giving the Pokemon this card is attached to Free Retreat. The ideal item, of course, to put on Garbotox and Garbodor, but also can let us retreat out of confusion and stuff with Drampas, which is very, very relevant for the Espeon heavy meta that we experienced at the North American International Championships. Also, 4 double colorless energy, just going to power up the Leles, power up the Drampas, and also could potentially be used for an acid spray on Garbodor. 4 rainbow energies. This is the only way in this deck that we have to put damage on the bench. Tord elected not to play the Team Magma Secret base that we have seen most Drampa lists running, and opted just for 4 copies of Rainbow Energy. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but it honestly, obviously, worked out great for Tord, so can't knock it at all. And 5 Psychic Energies to just finish the list off. There we go, guys. That's the deck. Let's go ahead and hop onto the Versus Ladder, see if we can't snag a couple of wins here and get things moving. This is a new season of the Versus Ladder. I haven't played any games in the new season, so hopefully we can get some win streaks going and all of that stuff. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, definitely be sure to leave a like down below. Helps me out a ton and lets me know you enjoy seeing what I'm doing. So here we are going up against HBerm94, playing a water colorless deck. We will call Tails, and we do get to go first, which is very nice. And I'm not quite sure what this could be. Some sort of definitely could be some sort of water toolboxy type deck. And we'll get to see here since my opponent is going to have a mulligan. So we'll click done. Let's see what they've got. Oh, Greninja. I should have assumed... I don't know why I assumed Water Toolbox over Greninja. Sorry. So Greninja Talonflame. Definitely something that can be a little harder of a matchup. But if we use our Float Stones wisely, we should be good to go. We'll draw a card. Do get a Sycamore, and Talonflame comes out. So my opponent did have a Talonflame start. We'll go ahead and attach a... I don't really want to attach an energy because I want to attach an energy to a Drampa turn 1 so that we can potentially... Because otherwise, since we don't play Magma Base, it's going to be harder for us to... It's going to be kind of harder for us to get... it takes 3 turns for us to hit for 150 with Berserk. So unfortunately here... I think we'll have to Ultra Ball if we want to get it, which means we have to get rid of a couple of supporters, but I think that's okay here. Getting that turn 1 attachment to Drampa is going to be pretty key. As we do see, we have the Garbotox and Garbodor in the deck. We used 1 Float Stone, have 3 more in the deck. Very nice. And other than that, looks like we pressed 2 double colorless energy and a rainbow, so those are things that could be a little annoying. We'll go ahead and attach a Psychic here to the Drampa. And I think we'll just click done. On to my opponent's turn. Let's see what they can do, see what they can make happen. Of course, if they do hit us for 40 with Aero Blitz, that means that we can crop the damage that we need to attack with Berserk, so hopefully we see that happen. Dive Ball here will more than almost definitely search out a Froakie. My opponent's just going to take time here. Of course, Greninja, it's very important to know what's prized as far as the Pokemon lines go, so he's going to just take a second to figure that out. Looks like he's going to grab a Froakie, like I said, and we'll see if he does have the water energy to go Aero Blitz this turn. Choice Band is going to go down onto the bench Froakie, and a pass onto our turn, so not much happening for my opponent there. Either that means they have a good hand or they have a bad hand. If we had a DCE, we could just go Lele, Lysandre, and knock out the Froakie, but we unfortunately don't have a DCE. I think we just need to end here. Maybe Sycamore is fine. He either has like Frogadier Splash Energy and he just couldn't attach Splash Energy to Talonflame, or his hand is dead. I think we're going to play off the assumption that his hand is dead, since that can definitely happen to these Greninja decks. We'll go ahead and just Sycamore. We do have 2 more Tapu Lele's as well as Rescue Stretcher, ways to get them back. So we can go ahead and put a double colorless energy onto the Drampa we drew. I think this is fine. No reason to play anything else yet. We can go ahead and discard Choice Band maybe, but I don't really want to discard anything else in this hand. Don't really want to put this guy down yet, so I think we will just go ahead and Berserk, hit for 80, so the next turn we can knock out the Talonflame. We do have Rescue Stretcher for Lele for Lysandre if he doesn't bench another Froakie. But looks like, let's see if he does have the Splash Energy like I predicted. No, indeed he does not. So we can't just go Rescue Stretcher here. Grab a Tapu Lele. And with Tapu Lele, search out a Lysandre. And this will allow us to take a knockout here, which will be pretty big. So go ahead here. Grab Lysandre. We did prize one. So good thing we did have the other one. And we don't even need the damage on the bench. We can just Lysandre, bring up Frogadier. And this is going to put my opponent pretty far behind. Let's go ahead and bench Drampa and attach to it. And we will Berserk for the KO. Doing 80 damage, of course. We don't do a 150 yet because we don't have any damage on the bench. But this allows us to just to get the knockout since Frogadier does only have 70 HP. We did draw another Lysandre, so if my opponent does get down another Froakie, we will just be able to immediately Lysandre that thing right back up here. Looks like he's going to get another Froakie. Ace Trainer going to make us shuffle our hand in and draw only 3 cards. My opponent will get 6. We do still have lots of supporter and draw options left. We do grab Tapu Lele, which is one of our supporter options, of course. And he did get 2 Froakies down, which means going for the Lysandre play is not going to really do much for us. Gonna Super Rod back in the Greninja line up. And, ooh, an angry react from my opponent. Must not have gotten what they wanted there. Go ahead and evolve to Garbodor. We are knocking out Talonflame. I think we'll just grab Sycamore here with Lele. Yeah. We'll go ahead and just grab Sycamore. We go ahead and attach the energy to Garbodor so that it can hit, it is hitting knockouts on Frogadiers, which is nice, so we can do that next turn potentially. And we do get a rainbow for the next turn, so we can crop the extra damage from Berserk. So let's go ahead here and just Berserk, take the KO. And getting ahead in the prizes early, but you guys know Greninja is definitely the comeback deck, so we'll see if my opponent can mount any sort of comeback here. What they can make happen. They could go for a bubble. We could definitely see some bubble plays coming out. Sycamore here for my opponents. Let's see what they find. I do have to get rid of some more item cards there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items in the discard. Broken Hearts from my opponent. Uh-oh. Hopefully they got a water energy. They can't have whiffed this many times, but it looks like they indeed did whiff once again. I'm going to just Lysandre this thing, get rid of the Choice Band. And my opponent's just going to go ahead and scoop it up. Yeah, it was looking kind of rough there for them. That can happen with... Ooh, get a challenge going here. 100 prize cards. Maybe I can do that. You know, Greninja can definitely be a deck that just draws super awkwardly at times, and it seems like that's what happened to my opponent there. Since, you know, most of the deck is dedicated to the Pokemon line. We'll go ahead here, play another one, see if we can't snag another win, and keep going. As you guys can see, this deck runs super, super consistently. My only concern is with no Magma Base, you really don't have a great way to get damage on the field early to crop the extra damage from Berserk. And it looks like we're going up against another Greninja deck. Not something I was expecting to play 2 of necessarily today, but... we do lose the flip, so they'll choose who goes first, and we'll see what we can make happen. We do at least get a Drampa start, and we do have some energies in our hand. So we'll go ahead and put Drampa up here. And we do have Ultra Balls, which means we can get out a turn 1 Brigette. But this is a matchup we don't necessarily need to always be doing that. If he attaches a water energy to the active, we could definitely try to find a Lele and go DCE knock out a Froakie turn 1, which I don't hate at all. If he attaches a Splash, though, we can Righteous Edge it away. And he actually is going to attach a water energy, which gives us an out to potentially knock this out this turn. If I was my opponent, I probably would have attached that back here. As we do see, he also has the nice promo Froakies. I'm a big fan of those for sure. Silent Lab coming out. That's going to kind of mess some stuff up for us. Because we did have a Lele, now we don't. So I think we will... we could still go for it. I think we'll just do Psychic Energy. I kind of do want to make sure I have Float Stones later for Garbodor Toxin Garbodor, so I think I'm just going to end here. We do get another energy. We get a Trubbish down at least. That is something. And I think here we'll go for that Big Wheel GX. Shuffle our hand into our deck, draw 10 cards. Force my opponent here to either have an N or something along those lines. Does kind of bite us in the butt, though, since we did have a DCE in our hand previously, and we no longer have a DCE. There's a Splash Energy for my opponent, and he's just going to go ahead and end, so maybe we could have held the Big Wheel and just but Righteous Edge for 20 is not going to really do much. So I think Big Wheel is fine there, but we draw kind of a dead hand. We luckily have Field Blower, so we can at least get rid of the Silent Lab to go search out Lele. As we do see 2 Frogadiers from my opponent. And Water Duplicates. Let's see how many Frogadiers he gets out with this. Does get out 2, so no prized Frogadiers for my opponent. And we do get a via Seeker, so we can just end. I think we'll go ahead. I really need to make sure I get a DCE this turn, I think. We'll go ahead and Ultra Ball away a Lysandre and a Float Stone. Do we have our 4th Float Stone? We do. Only played 1 item so far. I think we just need to get another Drampa. So we'll get that. We'll just attach a Float Stone to the Trubbish, maybe trying to bait a Field Blower. We'll leave 2 in the deck so that we have options for that later. And I don't think I want to play the Field Blower yet. I kind of want to save that for those Choice Bands that can be pretty annoying. And we'll go ahead and end here. Really need to find a DCE if we can. See, we hopefully do, and we don't. We can Righteous Edge, however, just do 20 damage, but that seems kind of poor. Missing an energy attachment is huge there, and this deck does run 13 energy. So don't really need to Ultra Ball for anything. We're just going to go ahead and Righteous Edge, do 20 measly damage, and with a slow setup like this against a deck like Greninja, I think we're not in a great spot right now, guys. So my opponent does bench another Froakie. Choice Band going to come down onto the active. Dive Ball will certainly find them a Greninja. Sure enough, that is what they get. And with no Team Magma Seeker base, we have no way to take a knockout on this Greninja this turn, unless my opponent plays many more items. So we are not looking hot. Moonlight Slash, though. So kind of maybe an awkward hand for my opponent, so they didn't get out any more Greninjas. We do get a Rainbow Energy, so only played 2 items. Interesting options here. We could Lysandre and just get rid of the Splash Energy with a Righteous Edge. Saving this damage could be nice. We know he didn't. If he had a way to get another Greninja, he probably would have. So I think we'll kind of play off of that. But do we go for it with this Drampa or this Drampa? I think we will attack with this one back here. We know he has a Water Energy in his hand. But this just gets rid of a Splash, and it also puts damage on the field for later once these become Greninja breaks, so that we can hit 150 with a Drampa. Trainer's Mail is going to come out, so playing some more item cards, which we are fine seeing. And let's see what they get here, see if they're able to find some sort of supporter card, maybe another way to get another Greninja out. They do find a Professor Sycamore. So this, if they do choose to play it, will allow them to draw a lot more cards. Going to attach to the back, certainly hoping to find a Greninja here. As we see, they can just discard some Talonflames and such. Still only 3 items played for my opponent. They do make a break in the back, but if they were not able to find a... Ooh, they weren't able to find a Ninja. Do we top deck DCE? That is a very good top deck here, because we can attach double colorless energy to the active, bring up this Greninja break in the back, and due to that 20 damage from earlier, and now having damage on the bench from this Drampa, we can berserk and take a knockout on that Greninja break, leaving my opponent with no Greninjas in play. And we were able to get rid of the splash energy on this one. So things are looking up for us right now. But we are only 5... We still have 5 prizes to go. And you guys know Greninja is the comeback deck, if there has ever been a comeback deck. So water energy going on to the active, almost certainly meaning we're going to see a bubble come out here. Assault Vest comes down. Gonna definitely be needing to find a Field Blower to deal with that. 2 Greninjas and 2 Dive Balls prized from my opponent. That would explain why they were not able to get a Greninja that turn. So if we can keep them from getting too many Greninjas in play, we're going to be looking pretty hot here. Greninja Break, Greninja, and Water Energy goes back into the deck for my opponent. Surprised we didn't really see the Frogadier come back to evolve this one, but I guess... Like for the next turn, like if he flips Bubbleheads here, he'll want to evolve into Frogadier after, right? Unless he plays Rare Candy. That could be the reasoning, but wow. 2 Greninjas prized for my opponent. That's just really, really unfortunate luck. Ultra Ball is going to come out. And we're going to be looking on this turn to bench some more Trubbishes. Still don't really need the Greninja break yet, unless my opponent does get Greninjas this turn, which looks like that is what they're going to do. So maybe finding the Garbodor, or did I say Greninja break? I meant Garbodor. We may need to find the Garbotoxin Garbodor this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 180 we're hitting with Garbodor. We do find Garbotoxin, which is really good. So we'll go Ultra Ball here. They did flip heads on Bubble, which is annoying, but you know, that does definitely happen. We'll go grab a Trubbish, get that guy on the bench, and we'll just go Sycamore here. We'll go ahead and evolve into Garbotoxin via Seeker for Professor Sycamore. Play it, and draw ourselves a fresh new hand of 7. We do find double colorless energy. We can start powering up a new Drampa, and we get another Trubbish. So we'll go ahead and do this. Trubbish down. Would have maybe liked to attach a Psychic. I don't know that it necessarily really matters, but we'll just go ahead and click done here. Onto my opponent's turn. Let's see if they're able to make something happen. Can they find that last Greninja in their deck? Can they make a Greninja break here? And do they find Field Blower so they can get some Giant Water Shurikens off? I'm gonna just go for an in. We could have maybe attached these Choice Bands since they are kind of useless. I was hoping to Sycamore them on the following turn, though. So that's why I didn't play those. Because we'd rather, of course, have Float Stones on things if we need it. As we do kind of draw dead off of this in. We're already down 3 via Seekers, because we have Lysandre a few times. Ultra Ball, let's see what my opponent finds, and hopefully they don't flip another heads on Bubble. That would be a little frustrating, not gonna lie. So they do find another Greninja. They do get 2 in play. Retreat, and looks like they're just going to hit us with a Moonlight Slash, more than likely. If we can draw Field Blower, we will be able to knock out this Greninja, so kind of a risky play here for my opponent, just hoping we don't have Field Blower. But it works out for them, as we do not have the Field Blower. So we will hit them for 150 minus 40, 110. Which is still solid damage to get on the field. It's not worth it to retreat into anything else, though, I don't think. Definitely gonna just... Yeah, I think we definitely just have to Berserk here. We can put a Choice Band on the active, just so if he ends again we don't draw it. And we'll just go ahead and Berserk. Does just do 110 damage, not knocking out the Greninja. But that means if this becomes a Greninja break, we will be able to knock it out. And of course, right now he is not able to use his abilities, and he will not be knocking us out yet unless he gets a Choice Band on this back Greninja. Via Seeker from my opponent. Let's see what this goes for. Gonna go for a Lysandre. Let's see what they bring up. Lysandre. Brings up a Garbodor. So we just need to find a Psychic Energy. This will only give my opponent one prize after they attack Garbodor twice. And I'm sure they'll choose to bring the Water Energy back. No, actually choosing to leave it. So if we had gotten an energy or something, we would have been able to take their energy out of play. With 2 already down, that is definitely a little unfortunate to miss that. Gonna put a Water Energy on the back, so they did have one at least anyway. Field Blower is gonna get rid of the Float Stone on Garbodor most definitely, and probably the Float Stone on the Drampa. Yep. So this means that my opponent will be able to use Giant Water Shurikens this turn if they can get Greninja Breaks in play. And it's not looking good for us, guys. They could take 2 prizes on this Drampa this turn, potentially. Giant Water Shuriken, let's see where this damage goes. Gonna go on to the Garbotoxin Garbodor, so they're definitely gonna want to deal with this early, it looks like. We do have Rescue Stretcher to shuffle that back in. Top deck of Field Blower would be great for us as well, just getting rid of the Silent Lab so that we can Lele for a supporter. Let's see if they got the other Greninja Break. They do only have 5 cards left in their deck, but Rescue Stretcher will shuffle a few back in, unless they choose to just put one in their hand. And looks like that is what they're going to do. Get a Greninja Break, put it in their hand. They are down 4 waters, 5, 6, so not sure how many more they play. Moonlight Slash going to take a knockout on Garbodor. So what do we do here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, we're knocking him out with a Garbodor easily, but we're not guaranteed to get a Garbodor. Or, like, be able to attack with Garbodor. So I think we promote this since we can retreat it. Maybe we should have promoted this since we can retreat it as well. And we get nothing, so that's fun. Don't want to play Super Rod or Rescue Stretcher since we're kind of dead drawing. We want to be able to put back supporters. We can put a Tool on Garbodor, at least. They're out of via Seekers. Most Greninja lists do only play 1 Lysandre, so they probably don't have a way to bring this guy up. And we'll just Berserk. Hits for 150, not enough to knock him out, unfortunately, but putting the Tool on Garbodor will give us the best chance, I think, in this game. It's definitely not looking great for us. We do know that they took, I'm assuming they took a Greninja. No, they actually took a, was that a Water Energy they would have taken? I can't remember what else was there. But they're going to Fisherman back 4 waters. Let's see if they have the other Field Blower. And they do not. So they will knock us out here with a Moonlight Slash. Probably taking some Greninjas. Greninja Water Energy even, maybe? Yeah, it did take a Greninja Dive Ball. Interesting. So we'll promote Drampa. We can knock out Greninja Break with this, with a Righteous Edge, and we can retreat into Garbotoxin as well. We do get an energy to retreat to Garbotoxin Garbodor. So we'll go ahead and do this. And I think we just Righteous Edge, take the KO. Don't want to play Super Rod or Stretcher still. You know, we did get rid of a lot of supporters early, so kind of dead drawing like this does make sense. But it is still pretty unfortunate. So they send up the Greninja Break. Even with the Assault Vest, Trash Avalanche is definitely hitting enough to knock out Greninja. So Greninja comes up. And gonna just hit us for 110 with a Moonlight Slash. Still waiting to just like top deck anything useful. So this means if we attach here, if we attach a Rainbow here, he can knock it out, which is not good. With a Giant Water Shuriken, I mean. Okay, let's see. If we attach here, we go to 120 damage, so they can knock us out with a giant water shuriken, but we... they're already down a Field Blower. We haven't seen another one yet. I assume he would have played it if he had it in his hand. So I think this is safe. We take out Greninja, and then we can take out the break with Garbodor. Let's see if he has that Field Blower. We get Teammates, so if he does knock us out, we can use that. Splash Energy can come out. Dive Ball, let's see what this finds him. Nothing, fails it. This is a time where maybe playing one of the Stomp Off Trubbish would be nice. Moonlight Slash will knock out Drampa, but we get to bring up Garbodor. Knock out his only Greninja in play. Does he have Rare Candy? He has certainly kept that secret this far, so if he does, good on him. We really would love to top deck an N here. We definitely have to bring up Garbodor. We do not get an N, which this means this may be the end of our game here. We will play Teammates. He's saying well played, so he must have the game. I don't know how if he has Rare Candy, Greninja, Water Energy, Lysandre. Which is what he must have. Definitely take that, and we'll take this. So just attach to Drampa. Trashalanche does knock out Greninja. Even through the Assault Vest, hits 340 damage, so if my opponent has Rare Candy, Greninja, Lysandre, all that stuff... Oh! Well played from my opponent. They're just going to go ahead and concede. Or, well, just pass, letting us get the win, so 400 damage, 20 items in my opponent's discard pile, so... Kind of had an awkward draw there in the middle due to like having to use some supporters early. But ended up working out okay for us. We did get the W there. 2 Greninja decks down in today's video, and that is the Garbodor Drampa deck that Tord Reklev once again used to win the first ever North American International Championship. Once again, huge congratulations to Tord. I really like this deck a lot. You guys should definitely try it out for yourself. My only thing is I really like Magma Base in this deck. So maybe we'd try to find a space for a couple of those at least, but other than that, this deck is super consistent, excuse me, and yeah, very, very solid stuff. So huge congrats to Tord once again. Leave a like on this video if you guys enjoyed, as always, and that is going to do it for me. Happy 4th of July to everyone. I'm going to get out of here. Until next time, guys, take care.